This is IBM Museum, and I'm going to be opening a Model 60 PSU. This is the PSU that was on a unit, went through when I had power connected to it. Switch it on, I didn't get any response. So I'd like to get inside of it and just kind of look a little bit around, see if there's anything that I may be able to fix on it. The switches on those can sometimes go bad. So there is a page at the Arden Tool that does cover going through and removing the power supply from the Model 60, the Model 65SX, the Model 80, and it gives the pinout of the plug to, for you checking voltages and things like that. And I can go through and do that. I do have the multimeter there, but there's not any view of what's inside these power supplies. I kind of just want to go in there for my own little curiosity and just to see what I can discover. So let me go through. I will get turned around. I can get this page down. I'll include that in the link of in the video description. That link in the video description. And by looking through on my security bit set, this shows up as a T11 is what I am using. The screws on here have a and they do have a pin in the center of the head. But I show that to be a T11. And here's the markings on the PSU. There's actually a label that fell off earlier off the front. You can kind of see the spot that it was at, and I don't know if it was showing like an EC level, maybe something like that. Pretty kind of dim right here. It didn't show up on the camcorder all that well, but I'm figuring, I think it's where in the components of PCB is down here. So at least trying to remove this top cover with the fan. It does have the strain relief for the power connection there. But that should make it so I'm able to look at the PCB that's inside. Okay. And I'm not removing any screws for the fan or anything like that. I'll have to see if that, when the cover comes away on, and there is a little bit of effectively of rust and stuff. Just want to see how. I know that there's some screws on this side. And I probably need to get my little webcam on a stick that I could show a little bit up close. I can probably scoot it in and adjust it at the appropriate point here. Okay, so does that also fold around the okay. And so this does have, I guess I'm just pulling all the screws in the end to see what panel ultimately makes this the most successful. And the strain release may be holding that in. Okay. So it looks like at least the front of the power supply came up. Is that maybe just by I was kind of hoping it'd give me clear access to remove a panel, not have necessarily an interlocking. So this is ultimately all the screws of that fashion, save the one that are holding the fan in place. And some of these screws do have rust on them. It looks like a little bit of moisture, maybe. Okay, so that side cover comes off if you pull the right screws from it, and that's probably a real good way to get into a look into the unit. Now I can go through and I can check the switch just to make sure that whether it's as simple as that. I don't know if there's really any accessible fuses. And of course, we're looking at things like the we're looking for things like the capacitors and things like that being swollen and things. Okay, and this has some tape around the leads of the switch. Yeah, I can go through and I can probably put electrical tape back over that same okay. So blue and brown probably come up to the camcorder. So there's the leads of that switch. And just looking inside there a little bit with that side panel off. And by the note on that page, the switches with the red are supposed to fail more than the white colored switches. Okay. That's interesting on that. And I'm going, testing from each side has blue or brown. I am not seeing continuity at all between either side. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm on the contacts. Okay, there. I'm getting, okay, finally beeps at me for continuity on the brown side. And the blue side is even easier to access. Okay, finally, I'm getting resistance across. But I'm not getting true continuity like I should when the switch is flipped. So maybe it's something as simple as this switch. Wouldn't that be great? I get ultimately continuity beeps on the brown side, but it takes me getting in there and working at it. So what I'm gonna do, and this will be another video because I've got to get to where I've got some spare switch I can rig up. And to where I can replace that or test that and see if I can get the power supply to work by changing that out. And there could be, the contacts inside the switch or something of that nature that is the failure point. But there is the switch separate. And I mean, I've seen, I know of people shooting in the oxit and stuff like that to go through. Let's get those caps off. Okay, I got a brief beep. So that's on. Okay, I finally get continuity. And I need to get me some deoxit myself, actually. Okay. Okay, I'm getting continuity now between on either side. This has got some grime on it. Should be, I think it'll go back in. Okay. So that's on. And let me work to get, and I don't know, maybe just to bench, I can try and bench a Model 60 planer since I've got those around. I'll just put it on a piece of cardboard. I have all the connections otherwise. Should have a better, come up with a better camera setup for this too. I guess I could have wrapped those in electrical tape prior to seating the switch back in there. Yeah, I might look at cleaning this as well. So let's get electrical tape. on here. Yeah, it would have gone on there much better with the switch out of the enclosure, but it's no matter. Get it covering. Have enough stick. Okay. There's tabs that this sits down in. Okay, yeah, I was trying to, so let's get, let's get some screws back in place because I want to close this up enough. I didn't see any, I really didn't see any fuses. I didn't see any bulging capacitors. And I think these have a power good signal that I could probably test out of circuit, but and if I can get it to work, I'll go through and certainly clean it up more before I put it back into a system. Okay. And that's just a cable tie, a long cable tie. I should fix that strap. And then there's a you want to get the metal piece in there between those three. And to pin that power supply. Yeah, this is still, there's still a lot of dust stuff here. And we shouldn't have any screws left over. So we know the little pull handle side to that is the piece that comes out. And you could even pull, after you get this facing, this cover face removed, you could even pull the switch out to do a quick check, making sure that it is not the switch. I hope that's the case with this one. And I could get this this power plug back together too, or see why it's apart like that. Okay. I still have one screw here. So I've got to go through and review. There it is on the front. Okay. So let's get that a little bit off to the side. You can use things like a hard drive to be to give it a load. Okay, so that plug okay, looks like I need to take that apart. There's two Phillips screws that hold that cover piece together. We'll see if it's like two, looks like just a kind of a clamshell, because they have hooks in them, and then you screw them together. So it doesn't look like it matters which side. Okay. In fact, they look kind of hermaphroditic for the two sides. Okay, much better. For that, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pause the video and return with a planer that I can go through and bench here and connect up this power supply. So if I don't get this to go, Do I have a video? I'll go through and release the video either way it turns out. I'm just hoping it's as simple as okay, and I have the postcode reader connected up, and we can ultimately do video capture if needed. How about that? Let's even go through and flip over to the okay. I did several F1 presses as it shows the list. Um, but we have a working power supply that I thought was out, and I just quickly replaced it. Of course, when I was doing troubleshooting, I should have cycled through that switch a little bit more, and I can certainly go through. I'll clean this up. I'm going to open it up again later on, and I'll clean it up, and I'll even get some deoxit or whatever I spray inside there to clean the switch contacts, because that's what it was. And it's both hot and neutral are, in fact, it goes to like a transformer and some other things before it gets to the switch. But that's what it was. It was that switch. So that's a fabulous end to just a quick troubleshooting process. And then now I know, looking at it, it's easy enough to pull off that side cover first. If you have a dead Model 60, 65SX, Model 80 power supply, to go through and pull off the side cover that's the one that's pointed up in this case. And just to get that switch out of there, you may have to pull it out of the enclosure, the plastic enclosure on the front. But to check continuity, of course, with it off and unplugged from AC, and then to go through and cycle and, to clean it until you get it to go. So that's outstanding. If you enjoyed this video, bring this Model 60 power supply back to life, go ahead and click on that like button, please, and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.